Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another Pokemon TCG video. Of course, XY Furious Fist brought us a bunch of fighting type support, so we're going to take a look at another fighting type deck. This time we're going to look at a card that a lot of people wanted to see in action, so I figured, hey, let's go ahead and do it, and that's going to be Machamp. Machamp, of course, the Stage 2 Superpower Pokemon, has the ability Fighting Fury. Each of your fighting Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So this is very similar to Alteria's Fight Song, which gave plus 20 damage to Dragon-type Pokemon, except that was a Stage 1 Pokemon, much easier to get into play. Machamp is a Stage 2, but it has the arguably better type. Fighting, of course, gets all sorts of support with this new set, so we can start to do all sorts of crazy amounts of damage with our fighting Pokemon once we get a Machamp or two into play. It also has the attack Machamp Crush, 80 damage, and then reduces damage from the defending Pokemon by 40 on the following turn. It's actually got a strange effect. It attaches to the defending Pokemon, so if it gets knocked out or switches to the bench, then that effect goes away. It's not on Machamp. I learned that one the hard way. Yeah, Machamp is actually a pretty solid card. It's just a matter of getting it into play. We probably won't use Machamp Crush too much since 3 fighting is very costly, but we'll see what we can pair them with. We're going to go with a very simple route. We just have a 3-1-3 Machamp line along with 3 rare candy, just to try to get them into play pretty quickly. And then we're going to go with a bunch of big basic Pokemon. First one's going to be Lucario EX. It has these 3 attacks, Missile Jab, Corkscrew Smash, and Somersault Kick. I would say the one you'll use the most is Corkscrew Smash. 60 for 2, but, we have all this other support. Suppose I could show that off right about now. Strong Energy is what really puts the deck over the top. Of course, you can only put it on your fighting Pokemon, but when you do, your attacks do plus 20 damage. So the amount of damage modifiers in this deck is pretty ridiculous. So if we just have 1 Machamp in play and 1 Strong Energy and 1 Muscle Band, that is plus 60 damage already. So think about that for a second. Machamp, Strong Energy, Muscle Band, that's plus 60. That means Lucario EX is doing 90 damage for 1 energy with Missile Jab. And that's downright silly. Right, things just should not do 90 for 1. But they can also do 90 for 1 and 30 to a benched Pokemon. Landorus EX is going to be our other big hitter in this deck. Hammerhead, of course, the main attack here, but if you need to really blow something up, you can use Land's Judgment as well to do all sorts of ridiculous things. Alright, so these are our 2 big attackers here. We also have a couple non-EX support Pokemon. First one's going to be this Landorus, has Shout of Power, and again, with Machamp, Strong Energy, Muscle Band, we even run 1 Silver Bangle against those Pokemon EX. We can do tons of damage for just a single energy, and then also get an energy back onto one of our benched Pokemon. So I do like this little Landorus in this deck, because we're running plenty of basic fighting energy. We have 7 in this deck, that's enough to get them in the discard pile, along with the 4 Strong Energy. So I do like this Landorus in a deck where you run a lot of fighting energy. I think 7's probably the minimum where he's going to be useful. 8, 9, 10, that's where it's going to be really, really good. Just so you can get the energy in the discard pile to accelerate with Shout of Power. Our other non-EX Pokemon is going to be Howlucha. He's just a little guy, doesn't look like he's going to do much, but Flying Press is very deceptive. 60 damage, 60... For 1 energy, that is a lot, but it's like, he's only got 70 HP, so he's not going to get big knockouts very often, but, it adds up really quickly when you have a Machamp in play, a Strong Energy, a Silver Bangle. We're also going to play Fighting Stadium, so against Pokemon EX, let's just do some math here. 1 Machamp, it's already 80, Strong Energy, that's 100, Fighting Stadium, 120, Silver Bangle, that's 150, so with 2 Machamp in play, a Strong Energy, a Silver Bangle, and a Fighting Stadium, we can actually Flying Press for a 1-hit knockout against 170 HP Pokemon EX, which is very silly. It's a lot to pull off, but if it happens, it is so cool. 1 energy, 170 knockout. Just doesn't seem fair. Okay, so here's our main Pokemon for the deck. Let's take a look at the trainers. I think the biggest one for this deck is going to be Karina. So Karina is very cool in this kind of a deck because it can search for the fighting Pokemon and an item card. This makes it extremely easy to actually set up Machamp. We can search, say we have a Machamp in play, and then next turn we have a Karina. We can search for Rare Candy and Machamp and just get them immediately. Makes the Stage 2 Pokemon much easier to get into play. So for Karina, definitely the heart of this deck, making it all work. We have 4 Professor Juniper, 4 N, those are pretty standard, and then 2 Colress as well. We're also going to run a Bicycle, just because it's a nice target for Karina sometimes. And same for Computer Search. Great target for Karina, grab whatever you want. If you have a Karina, it can turn into a Strong Energy, or whatever you want. It's incredible. We also have 2 Lysander. It's just always nice to target some things down. I'm starting to like playing more and more of this card. It's just very, very strong. You never know when you need to just grab a knockout somewhere. Searching cards, we have 3 Ultra Ball. Normally you would play 4, but since we do have the 4 Karina, which can search out any Pokemon, we're going to just run 3 Ultra Ball in this particular deck. We have 1 Professor's Letter, again, great with Karina. Turns into a basic energy. We've already looked at the 2 Muscle Band and the 1 Silver Bangle. Might want an extra Muscle Band in the deck, but it is hard to find space for all these things. 2 Switch, since we do have some pretty hefty retreaters, along with 1 Escape Rope. Same reasoning. Escape Rope has some synergy with Landorus EX sometimes, pushing something to the bench. If it only has 30 HP left, we can knock it out with Hammerhead and then hit something active even harder. And then 1 Startling Megaphone. I would actually love to have 2 in this deck because Garbodor is a problem. Shuts down your Machamp, which is a big part of your strategy, but we'll stick with 1 for now and see what happens. Alright, so here is my Machamp deck. Just a Machamp fighting Pokemon deck, and I had a lot of fun playing this deck. I gotta say, the fighting Garbodor deck might be a better choice, but this is by far more fun. So let's go ahead and see this bad boy in action, get our Machamp going, and see if we can crush somebody. So we're going to start off with the Machamp in this situation, and it looks like we will be going first. So I do have a Karina, have an Ultra Ball, I got all sorts of stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and Karina here. Now, that Kyurem is actually pretty annoying, since we have absolutely nothing that deals with it efficiently. Sure, we can use Lucario EX, but I assume it's a Plasma deck, so that means Deoxys is not far behind. Landorus is weak to water, so I think the best option is going to be grabbing Lucario EX, but it's not a pretty start, I don't think. So let's see. I have a choice on what to grab with this Karina. I don't have a supporter for next turn, so I think we're just going to grab Computer Search in this situation. Go ahead and take that just to have some flexibility, and then drop down the Lucario EX with the Fighting Energy. We'll switch into it just to try to save our poor Machamp. I do have the Rare Candy and Machamp in hand already, so next turn we can get that, get our Fighting, Fury, a damage boost, and see what happens. My opponent does play an N, though, which disrupts me a little bit, but apparently not too much since I do have Rare Candy and Machamp once again. My opponent's benched Pokemon seems to be downloading from the internet, and we'll see what it turns into. Oh, a Thunderous EX, okay. Just a Water Energy and a pass from my opponent, though, so not the most eventful turn by any means. Alright, I'm just going to drop an N here, go with that, and it's kind of a strange situation. I have an Ultra Ball and a Rare Candy and a Machamp, so I think I'm going to go for another Machamp. I love being greedy with this deck, trying to get as many Machamp in play as possible because it's just so rewarding, right? You get so much damage. Just for this 1 energy here, we're going to Missile Jab for 70 with a Muscle Band and a Machamp. That's a 2-hit knockout already on the Kyurem. It might have seemed like the right play to put the second Fighting on there and go for the Corkscrew Smash, but I don't think that was the right thing to do, because then I would set myself up to be knocked out by Deoxys' Helix Force. Right? I'm weak to Psychic, so I don't want to put Lucario in danger there. I'll just chip away for 70. I would have loved to fill my hand up to 7, but That's not going to be the case. And look, my opponent actually backs off there and says, you know what? I do not want to put all my energy on this Kyurem. I want to get a Deoxys EX ready to go, which makes a lot of sense. Once again, I do have the strong energy, and we're going to go ahead and N. Going to take the first prize, so getting the N's out of the way might not be a bad idea. And then we'll get the Landorus EX down on the bench, and with the strong energy and then Missile Jab for the knockout on that Kyurem. Deoxys is going to come out, try to hit me for some big damage, but even with a Muscle Band, I don't believe it is a knockout. It's only going to be 60, then 80 with the Muscle Band. Times 2, it's going to fall a little bit short. So not putting the second energy on Lucario, certainly the right thing to do there. Don't walk into that Helix Force knockout, especially when I don't have enough Machamp in play quite yet to get a knockout on that Deoxys. Alright, so far things are looking decent. I mean, it certainly could be worse. I really can't complain. I got a knockout without taking any damage. Got a Machamp into play. There we do see a Frozen City, but I held on to that Fighting Stadium. We can go ahead and drop that down next turn. But the Startling Megaphone will discard the Muscle Band off of Lucario EX. It's going to make it very difficult for me to actually take down this Deoxys now, but we'll see. I do have the Ultra Ball here. We're going to Ultra Ball away the other Lucario EX. Doesn't seem like a very good Pokemon in this matchup. So we'll go ahead and discard him, grab my other Machamp. And like I said, I'm getting greedy. We're benching as many Machamp as I possibly can. And then going for the Juniper. And, okay, let's see what we can do. So we have Strong Energy, Muscle Band, Computer Search. Let's do some math here. We have the Fighting Stadium. So Corkscrew Smash is going to do 80 already. 100, 120. 140 with a Muscle Band, 160 with a Strong Energy. Oh, my opponent actually attached a Rainbow. So it looks like I'm actually going to be able to get a knockout here. What in the world is going on? Yeah, I don't know. This is pretty silly if you think about it. I have two options here. Number one is just to Corkscrew Smash, take the knockout. Or I could Computer Search for a switch, and I believe Hawlucha would also get the knockout on Deoxys. But you know what? This is just too funny. I don't want to waste the Computer Search. I am going to Corkscrew Smash for 160 damage. Yep, that just happened. And take down the Deoxys EX. So you can see how goofy Machamp is right here. It's just ridiculous how much damage I'm doing. And, I mean, what does my opponent do next? Sure, Deoxys number 2 can come out, but then, I mean, I'm probably just going to start using the Hawlucha and probably get a knockout there. I guess that could happen. But no, actually, Thundurus EX is going to come out for the Ride Knuckle, going to knock out Lucario EX, which is fine, because if you do the math here, I'm actually using Hammerhead for a knockout on Thundurus EX, which is downright silly. I also have a rare candy, and I will use this to search for Machamp number 3, which is, oh my goodness, just, this is plus 60 damage. Here's the Computer Search, bringing out the Machamp. The champ is here, and he is here in force. Triple Machamp. Just let that sink in. All right, so, even without the strong energy, even without the Fighting Stadium, Hammerhead would be knocking out this Thundurus EX. It's actually overkill by a lot. So I can actually bench a new Landorus EX with the Fighting Energy and retreat and just use the Fighting Energy and Hammerhead for 220 damage for a single energy. What is this ridiculousness? This doesn't even make sense. That just did 1 energy, 220, and then 30 to a benched Pokemon. So 250 total damage for 1 energy. And you can see my opponent very sad about the triple Machamp coming into play, and I do not blame him. This is not something pretty. And I mean, the Landorus EX on the bench with that strong energy is threatening a 110 damage Hammerhead to anything, 130 against a Pokemon EX. So no matter what happens here, I have this Lysander in my hand. This Kyurem's going to come out and Blizzard Burn my Landorus, but it doesn't matter. All right, I have my own Landorus. We just set it up and win the game. I'm going to go ahead and attach a strong energy just for kicks, because just look at this. 130 damage Hammerhead. And 30 to a bench Pokemon. Okay, so this is a silly, silly deck when it gets going. I mean, like I said, I don't know if Machamp is particularly the best option for the fighting Pokemon, but it is the most fun by far. Just seeing the absurd numbers you can get to is downright ridiculous. And we saw it here. Hammerhead for a bazillion damage. And then I get my tournament tickets from the mystery wheel. Darn it. Hoping for something better. Oh well. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will certainly have some more for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I will see you guys next time.